All right, all right. Finally, we are here. Good evening, everyone, and I hope we are not running too late. And we have had some challenges, but we are finally here. And the bishop is running to the studio, and but we're gonna be starting. We're gonna be starting while he's in the car. Thank you so much for joining us. I see we already have quite a few people that have been looking forward to this. Thank you really for taking time to join with us. This is a series that is an initiative of the Real Village. It is called the Real Dialogue, and here we really celebrate and spotlight the continent's change makers. And the man that I'm having at the moment, it needs no introduction. It is Bishop Joshua Maponga, and he's driving to the studio, and there he is. He has just joined us. Bishop Maponga, hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for inviting me, and greetings to all of viewers. My apologies, I'm running late for one meeting, but I'll be parked in a few minutes, then we can have a more stable. But I think so long we can do the pleasantries. And I'm happy to see the village has moved from a paper to a conference, a dialogue. And I hear some music in the background there of some ethnic nature. But thank you. We hope we'll have a wonderful conversation, and you're doing a wonderful work. Keep up the village to bring up the children.
Thanks, Bishop. I really appreciate you taking the time and give away an hour of your very busy time. And what makes it easier for me to even forgive you for not being at the studio on time is because today is your birthday. And so I'm sure so many people wanted a piece of you today. So allow me to say a happy birthday. I sang for you this morning, and I hope the voice did not choke you, but happy birthday to you, my friend. How has it been? Your day, that is.
Oh, well, I decided to spend most of it in bed, just relaxing, because of Corona, In the old days, someone who was sleeping at 11, 12 was called lazy, was called poor and stupid, But now if you are found sleeping, doing now a responsible citizen.
Sure.
Because of Corona.
Sure. Yes. I can actually hear you. Can you still hear us?
Yes, I hear you. Cordelia.
Wonderful. Josh, well, we don't have much time, and it looks like a lot of people are already here. They've joined us already. I see somebody already said Silapa Lutando Nkonya is saying that we are here, and Lungelwa Dlulane says looking forward to tonight's program, and I'm sure that they're not going to be disappointed. Mpumi Masabalala says we are waiting, and so yeah, the waiting is no more because we have started and we are here. Thank you once again for joining us, Bishop. Tell us more about who you are. Who is? I called you by a name that you are only called by at home, Joshua Maponga Marara.
Yeah,
Who
only my
is
mother used, but
now? It's me and your mother. Now it's me and your. Now you will get to know later how I got to find out about that name. I'll let you know later. I'll let you know. You know how I found out. But tell us more. Who is Bishop Joshua Maponga, son of Africa? Talk to me.
big education that I got when I started doing some work with the greater Pentecostal and evangelical communities as of 2010, when a few pastors came around together and they did the services and conferred on me that title. So many people think I I just bishop. No, I can give you a list of more than 17, 18 pastors who came to conduct that service. Your ordinations, you are ordained by an elder or a pastor. The minister is by ministers. But the ordination of a bishop is by cardinals, by archbishops, by pastors and elders. So it was a problem in Woodmead. I'm not claiming that title. It was conferred upon me. So after some 28, 29 years of within the church. Of course, it was a bit disturbing to the Adventist community from where I had started to have this happen. And it was like an egg on the face because apparently we don't have bishops in the Adventist church. We have presidents. And that qualifies us to call people by names that are not biblical. Therefore, the structure of the organization is military. It is not. There's nothing spiritual about presidency. We don't have such an office within the Bible space. So maybe, I don't know, whoever give our hierarchy those names, he had an intention to help us to behave and treat those people in the same way that. And so maybe at that note, because you name something, you give it a title and you give it function. So that's my bishop. That answers
All right,
that.
all right.
But as
We,
for the background, maybe we'll go around that as we go along.
yes, we'll get back there. We'll get back there. But tell me about the roots. Where were you born? Which village? Talk to me through that.
Which one?
Where were you born? Where did you grow up? And what was it like growing up in the Maponga clan? Talk to me about your childhood.
Well, my childhood was into three critical moments. The first one was in the late 60s when we were born. My grandfathers were still alive, my grandmothers were still alive. All my uncles were alive, and my aunties were alive. I had a chance of burying my grandfather's, who was born in the 1810s, 1801s, thereabouts. Old woman. By the time she was old, we actually crawl to pick up cow dung to smear on her back so that she would not crack. So I lived in that generation where the first few years of my formation were very, very ancient. Children were born in the big roundavel in a grandmother's, and mothers were brought here 3, 4 months early. My uncle's wives to come and deliver here. I grew up at a time where ritual to be brought into life were still viable. Umbilical cords were dug to the ground, and we were eating from the hospital. And the rivers did not contain poisonous water. We would drink from the river when cows are peeing up the river. We would pee on each other's toes because you have kicked a stone or you have hurt yourself. Where mothers were squeezing breasts and made eyes of those that had eye infections. I grew up at a time when drinking cow urine was not bad. It was an alkaline for health and strength. I grew up at a time where not all animals and not all snakes were to be killed around the homestead. I grew up when chickens fighting was an announcement that visited me. I grew up when girls and boys were not allowed to eat everything. As young girls could not eat too much protein, and young boys would not eat that causes unnecessary erections. So it was quite a deep rural farm. And my grandfather was born in the 1860s because by the time Zilikas came to Zimbabwe, he was alive and he remembers the invasions of the Zulus as they were coming to collect food, cattle. I heard those stories firsthand from my grandfather. I grew up at a time of the village bringing up a child. And if your cattle will get bitten twice by the neighbor and by your own father. I grew up at a time when children are lost in the bush or it's getting late in the night, unknown, would walk you home and submit you to your own parents and say, I found these kids on the road. I thought I would walk them in. And they would walk us. You would be hungry and walk in your neighbor's field and eat some corn as long as you don't take it away. Where we owned everything, everybody. And that forms the first 8 to 9, 10 years of my life.
Wow, you've just made me wish that I was born there. That was. Oh, by the way, some are wondering how old the bishop is. It is not a secret. He has reached half a century in it, and 51 officially. You are a Sekuru now, officially. Talked.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm 51. I'm 51 this year. It's half a century.
Half a century done. Half a century done. And
But
and
it's
and,
amazing. It's amazing to note. It's amazing to note that within 50 years, how much has changed. I speak like I'm coming from the caves. I speak like I am speaking from the past. But time has moved.
Sure. And Joshua, at home, how many siblings did you have, or do you have?
Where we were 6. One has passed away, but my grandfather had 17 children. So I grew up with 17 children. That's my uncles and my aunts, 12 sons, and the others are women. So we were brought up in a village where at one time would be 14 young boys eating and sitting in a circle, sharing food. So as of siblings, directly from my mother, I think we're 5 standing now, but from we clock a few hundreds.
Sure. We've got quite a. Maybe let me read this in the meantime. Mafungwa says, "Happy birthday to the bishop." And Nkundla Luguxa says, "How can I not say a word to Bishop? Happy birthday, my leader of impact. May the Lord keep you on doing the good work that you are doing." And I have Lungela Nekile here, who says, "Happy birthday, Mfundisi. May you be blessed with many more So yeah, but I'm sure we're going to have a few of those that we are going to be reflecting on later on. And did you have any special birthday gift for yourself today? You've arrived, I see.
I think the first one was rest. So just give me half a minute, let them check my temperature here in Germany.
Okay.
Okay.
Tell you what, I'm gonna give you.
Yes, looks like.
Bishop, do you think it's best if I give you 2 minutes?
I'm fine. I'll just pack.
Okay. Because what I was going to do, I was gonna play a song of yours while you are making yourself into the studio.
It's fine.
Can I play a song while you are going to the studio? Josh?
Yes, it's fine. You can play. You can play.
Sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, he is making his way into the studio. And let me once again profusely apologize about the break in the broadcast. But as you can see, we're doing our best to make sure that the conversation continues. I'm just going to play a song while I allow him to quickly walk into the studio. Thank you so much. All right, you have not yet settled, Bishop? Okay, are you settled?
Women's issues, just value of women, fight of the women, and solutions around that.
Okay, all right, let's do this. Bishop, let's do this. Are you settled?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Perfect. At last. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, let's do this now. Let's do this now. People have been rather. I'm not going to be able to read this, but Mufara Zuva Zek. Okay, let me not even try. But I presume it means a happy birthday, and that would be in Shona. All right, let's continue with the conversation. You. As far as your work is concerned, you spent most of your time in the religious space as a pastor. You alluded to that at the beginning of the conversation, and of course in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and then of course you've then morphed into different aspects and in the arts space, business, and speaking. And maybe let's start with your work as a pastor. You've pastored in the UK, South Africa, and of course Zimbabwe. And talk to me about your pastoral experience.
Yes, I born third generation within the, and the greatest part of my life has been there. I joined ministry at the age of 16, college, university. By 19 or so, I was already pastoring more than 2021. I went to the district unordained. I could not conduct a Lord's Supper or baptize or marry or sit in a church board, so we went to work. The proper was dumped in some bush somewhere where I was supposed to rot and die, but grace had it that I survived. Most of my life, I've spent them behind. My beard has grown behind the pulpit. Basically, if the church is looking for one of its own children, then I am that child. And the proud, I am what I am through and through for 3 generations, through the system of the church. So if you are looking for a Christian, then you are talking to.
Now, tell me, as mentioned earlier on, you've done a number of diverse things, and it does not get as diverse as you've done. And quite recently, of course, you are most also known for your social commentary and also for your cultural activism and commentary as well. And is that a diversion from your original course of being a minister, or is it an extension or integration?
You can never under classic, I'm going to say the gospel cannot be deleted, or the gospel can responsibility. It's only that maybe it's been on evangelism, health, and lifestyle. But mostly the church has been focusing purely on attendance and small little functions and once a year the meeting and
Yep. Maponga J, your connection is not good.
Okay, sure. So I'm saying
your connection is not your line is
part. For the greatest part, we emphasized our functions.
Ah, that's much better.
All right.
Okay. Oh, let me. Okay. Maybe let me give you an opportunity to also apologize. I'm going to apologize as well.
Yeah, sorry guys, sorry. Sometimes things must run parallel. We're already setting up the stage here and lights and everything. I'm sorry about the interruptions, but these are genuine conversations with genuine people who are doing genuine things. You find us doing. So sorry about that. My apologies.
All right. And as he has said, and let me also take this time to profusely apologize. And I'm trusting that we're going to enjoy the rest of this conversation and until we finish. All right. Let's. I've even lost track of my thoughts. Okay, yes, we were talking about your work over the years, how you've tried to integrate your entrepreneurial disposition, your cultural heritage, and your spiritual work, and and of course being an artist into one package. Has that been difficult?
Due to traditions again, I mean, when I went to play for Joya Celebration in 1997, 98, it was like even singing religious music for a mainstream Adventist was considered more or less like secular. You are now singing with people from outside. You know, you are now, he's lost because he's now performing professionally. And as it were, it has always been an issue about maintaining boundaries. So for the art side, I'm born from a singing family. It's only when I met up with Brabi Banzibangane in the early 90s, mid 90s, that he introduced me to the trumpet, and the rest has been history, some 10, 15 instruments later. So integrating has been a problem because I remember there's one wedding which we went to conduct in Kokstad. I think it's Kokstad, yes. And actually our drummer was not allowed to play inside. He was put behind the curtain in the vestry because drums could not be accepted in the main church. Even the trumpet in the late 90s, 2000s, music bands, guitars, and etc. were not allowed in church. It was a taboo, only being called during weddings and funerals, and by very few liberal churches that seem to be progressive. Even as you know now, some churches still don't fully accept that music side. So the limitations has been present.
Tell me, Josh. I mean, you are, in the true sense of the word, and I'm going to allow you to put flesh into those words. You are, in the true sense of the word, a son of Africa. One of my favorite works that you do is how you link the different backgrounds in South Africa, in Zambia, in Zimbabwe, clan names. I want to give you a minute and just show us how interrelated and connected we are. And I think that is very important, especially with the recent and often xenophobic or Afrophobic attacks that we normally see researching in our country. How important it is to know that we are related as Africans. Let me give you a minute and just demonstrate.
Yeah, the biggest one of the problems that we faced was the usages of surnames at the transition of colonialism, where now you're supposed to be known as Sifu. What's your surname? Kotela. But our surnames are cheap because they are parental. But our totems are deeper because they are clan designed and they join the village together. So even in the Kwatosa, someone says, I'm Sifu Kotela. Kotela could just be a name, but someone says Tute, then all of a sudden he must now say, no, Ndingufaku, kumbe Ndinguhahave, kumbe Ndingubani, and then Ndingumatuna, and then you start unpacking. And immediately in unpacking your totems, which had the animalistic inclinations in terms of the animals and the nature and the clouds and etc. The three major totems, which is the waters, the totems of the water, the totems of the forest, and the totems of the air. For the air, these are the birds, the clouds, the sun, and the moon. Those in the mountains are all the animals, and there are various trees that you find there. All those that are in the river are for the fish, the crocodiles, the water itself, the mlambos. And so there are just three totems basically from where all of us as African Bantu people are connected, even in terms of traditional worship and ancestral conversations. Even your witch doctor, some of them, your traditional healers, they don't know this information I'm sharing with you. That if you can identify which part of your totem are you in, it will inform you as to what are the spiritual inclination, giftings, diseases, and what are you prone to, your diet and your fashion. It's all linked around those totems. And immediately you pick up the totems, Africa becomes one village. Because you go to Malawi, you find a lion totem. You go to Zimbabwe, you find a lion totem. You come to South Africa, you find a lion totem. You get to Lesotho, you get to KwaZulu Natal, you get to Kenya, you get to Uganda, you get to Nigeria. There is a tribe of the lions, whether they are called Ntsibandes in the south, Bosibanda, they are called Bomgonyama, they are called Boshumba, or they are called Bobanda in Malawi. A lion is a lion. A crocodile is a crocodile. Bomkwena, Bokwena, Bongwenya, Bogushungo. And some of those tribes even stretch up to the islands, the Papua New Guineas and then southern islands in Americas, where you still find nations that are doing ceremonies that are linked up to crocodiles, to birds, or to animals. And as such, the Ngubes, which is the great monkey in Malawi, the Piris, which is the Shoko Fuzijena in Shona, the Mukanyas, my tribe, who are the Kabos in Botswana, who are the Mutsuenengs in Lesotho, who are the Jambases, the Lisas in Transkei and Xhosa land, and who are the greater Kosanas in Kwandebele, Mfakudze Mtolos in KwaZulu Natal. And then you begin to understand that the monkey tribe, even as far as Kenya, as far as Nigeria, the birds are the same, the waters are the same. Immediately in every tribe, you ask them to begin to say their totems. You can actually link all the African totems to those three that I've mentioned: the totems of the waters, the totems of the forests, and the totems of the mountains. And if you understand that, therefore, a Mkanya in Zimbabwe cannot kill a Mtsweneng from Malawi or from Lesotho. You cannot kill a Jambase being killed by a Kabo in Botswana, because blood speaking and totemic wise, you're actually brothers and sisters. So imagine Mtimande here killing Ngwenya in Zimbabwe. You're killing your own brother. A Shiri here killing Nyoni over there. You're killing is the same Nyoni. Nyoni is a bird, is a bird. You know, so for me, the misunderstanding of African ethnology, African tradition and custom has actually been a precipitating ground of division to manifest itself as xenophobia and as Afrophobia.
Sure. Thanks, Josh. I see a couple of questions that are here, and okay, we've got 15 more minutes, about 20 minutes. So let's make the best of this. Now, the idea behind this really is to get to know you, the person behind all the controversy, the person behind all the ideas. And speaking about controversy, I'm hoping that later on we're gonna go and touch this. You have been quoted to have said that Jesus could not have or did not die for the black man. We'll go back to that. We'll make sure that we do touch that before we end. But tell me, as we're trying to get to know you, the person, as we said earlier on, it is said that it takes the village to raise a child. Who are the people that have contributed to the Joshua Maponga that we know today? That pastor, that teacher, that mother in your street. There must have been people that intentionally, and perhaps even more than others, laid more bricks on this house that is called Joshua Maponga. Do you want to mention, or do you have names that you want to mention of people who have laid bricks on your life?
No, the first one, I cannot miss the first one, who is my grandmother. She brought me up because when my mother weaned me from her breast, then I was given to my grandmother. And because I was named after my grandfather, I had a special. I grew up as a nice, spoiled child, whose name could not be mentioned. My grandmother could not mention my name in the presence of my grandfather because it will it will uh, it will mean she's calling him by name. So I grew up in a nice environment with lots of love and affection, and even if all other kids could receive their gifts, and I knew that mine was hidden somewhere in the apron there, and I'll always be scratched to be given some extra care and extra love, which was nice. So my grandmother played a very good big role, and my grandfather too, who every time I come from school, he would sit me down as early as crash, I remember, primary school, and then ask me while he's sharpening my pencil with his okapi knife. So what did you learn in school today? So every day I had to recite to him my lectures. That's how he helped me to study. If people are talking about parents helping their children to study, even my grandfather, who could not read and write mathematics, knew how to re-emphasize what I was learning in school. So I knew for 20, 30 minutes to an hour after I come back from school, I must be sitting with my grandfather, telling him everything that I had learned in school. And his introduction was not positive. He would say, Zala Pamshan, come closer to me. When I get closer, I says, where's your pencil? He had put a nice rope around it, so it was like a necklace. Then I take off my pencil. I give him. This is Mzukuru, like Mishana. Shimbogara pasundinye pere. Like sit down now and lie to me. What did they tell you in school? And so I heard it this morning from a young man called Kane Dumiso, who says we grow up from a negative, or what they call a negative reinforcement center, where you're given permission to lie. Then all of a sudden you are being pushed to say the truth. Yeah. So yeah, that's so my grandmother, grandfather were very critical. My aunties, my father was working in the church also, running around doing God's work. So I saw him late in my life, and my mother had other siblings also that came up, the twins after me. So she was very busy when those two came, and but I was happy with my cousins and uncles at the farm. Uh, it was fun time falling from trees and hunting wild animals and eating eating fruits in the bushes.
Sure. And somebody wrote a question here. Bishop, tell us 3 things you would do if you were president of Africa. Now, with that question, I also want to ask you, what is it that disturbs you about Africa? What is it that you wish you could change about Africa? What is it that gives you hope about Africa? What is it that disturbs you about Africa?
The first thing that I'll do is to, over and above, I won't call uniting the first point, because that is an obvious space. I want to delve into more practical things, unity becoming the arc of everything. But inside that, the destruction of borders would be a priority in terms of allowing Africa to have the same space of the United States of America, where in Europe and China, where if we work as a continent, people will migrate to their own interests. Those who want mining will move into Congo. Those who want farming will move into Kenya. Those who want the beaches will move into the south coast. Those who like mountains. So people will settle. Africa, there's enough space, would actually settle, and tribes and families can start integrating. I think in less than 10 to 15 years to 50 years, we can actually begin to see marriages and intermarriages, and Africa begins to settle into one family with our own tribal houses and places to do that. Secondly, I think what would be important is to set up one economic hub for the African continent, where all our minerals in Africa and agricultural products and everything can be put on one centralized market. And from there, we can barter the coffee from Kenya and the diamonds from South Africa, the fufu from Ghana, and the amabele from Botswana, and the beef from Botswana, and mhlonyana from Madagascar, so that we don't necessarily need to be working on this paper money concept, but have a market where African countries can each go to there and buy what they want to their own countries. And back to back with that, it is to centralize and allow the development of beneficiating industries
within each area of production for export materials. In other words, if you are producing platinum in South Africa, Africa then will invest into a platinum smelter that beneficiates the platinum, so that by the time it comes to the market, it has actually created some value chains in terms of employment and everything else before we can sell it to the foreign countries. We would not sell raw materials out of Africa. We would sell processed or half-processed materials so that we can create the whole value chain of work going up. And thirdly, what would be very important, which is almost like number one, I would destroy the governance system in terms of the Roman Dutch laws and re-adopt the indigenous governance system, which will allow the village to become the African continent. And we will run on the laws of the village. Prisons will be decentralized to the villages where the kings and traditional leaders are, so that your own relatives and family that brought you into existence can actually assist you in terms of rehabilitating you. So it's quite, I've written a big document on that, on the 7 pillars of AIM, inclusive to education, religion and culture and spirituality, technology, and indigenous burial systems. The list is endless. But on those top 3, governance will be number 1, borders will be number 2, and thirdly will be a common financial hub for the African continent.
All right. Another personal question from Lungela Nekile. The amount of social media personal attacks and insults towards the bishop is incredible. How does he stomach it all? Does it come with the cost? Does it come with the price?
As I have written in my profile today, I think it is the last time that they do that. Because going forward, I've identified myself to various people with more than 9 or 10 titles based on your age. If you are above 40, then I'm your brother. I can be one together with you. You can decide to call me elder or brother. If you are above 30 to 40, I'm your elder brother. And I'm in some certain cases, I'm even your uncle. So you stop talking to me as Josh. And then if you are below 20, above 20, you are my child. My children, my oldest is 25 years old. So into as I was 18, 19 years, writing my name on Facebook, hi Josh, is unacceptable. And anything below 20, they are my grandchildren. So in the going forward, then the pastors, they can take away the name Bishop. I don't think I need that anymore. You can just call me Maponga Marara. I'm happy with that. So that we avoid making people uncomfortable, because religious people want to own you as a religious person. Cultural people want to own you as a cultural person. PAC people want to own you as a comrade, and no one wants to share you with the other group. Apparently, if you are a PAC and a Pan-Africanist, you cannot be associating with Christianity. And if you are Christian, you can't be associating with culture. If you are culture, you can't be associating with it. So it has all to do with this classification. And because I refuse to be classified, that's where the frustration of many of those young people come from. And they are small, and I know many of them are the age between 20 and 40. The younger kids who are frustrated, and all of them are younger than me. I suggest they must go back to their parents and do their own studies with their own parents before they can come and harass me. When you come to above 50, you come to people who own their minds and who can make a decision in their own spaces. We have become reference material for the community. And therefore, I don't have time now to be playing with kindergarten children who still don't know their totem or don't know their fathers. Children who are born on the streets with no laws and respect. Someone who walks up to me and tells me at my age, my mother's private parts, because they feel my idea is contrary to what their own mother has told them. They must go back to their own mothers. They must go back to their own fathers and swear at them. But the quality of their language, for me, it reveals the homes from where they have come from. So my pain is when I hear them talking, I always imagine their fathers, and I feel sorry for their mothers.
Okay, Josh, I've got a surprise for you. Josh, are you listening to me? I've got a surprise for you. You don't know about this. There's a couple of questions, but I'm rushing against time here. Check this out. I'm hoping that they are ready. Omega, are you there?
Yeah, well, I'm here, but I'm still fixing our lighting. So
I
bad.
see you.
Is mom
Okay,
and
yeah.
dad?
Mom and dad are there, Josh. Mom and dad are there. Oh man, look at that.
Makadini mama.
Ifamagadingo.
Iyabos. Muri penyu panzimbe pamkwazina.
Pano.
Oh.
Tiri kumabasa kuno kuti chamboreve nhema izo.
Tisiri nhema zvomene.
You are a criminal.
I got you there. Mama.
To you.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad.
Oh man. Thank you, Omega. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Wow.
I really appreciate it. And I know that he did not know about it. We had to pull it off without him knowing. Thank you so much, Tata Maponga. Sekuru. I'm going to have to let them go. Do you want to say anything to the parents, Josh?
Takangomirira corona kuti ipere tigovia kumba.
Okay, I think there's
just waiting for corona to get finished, then we can go home.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, but yeah, how was that?
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. That was a light moment. Thank you.
I'm glad.
That was you caught me there.
That was the plan.
Yeah.
That was the plan. I think sometimes when we interact with people and their ideas, we can forget that they are humans behind those ideas, and we become so unloving, so impersonal. And I guess I was hoping to let people know that whether you agree with Maponga or not, he's human. He's been born he's belonged to a family, and he's trying to make a difference. But tell me, you did mention that you are a third generation Seventh-day Adventist. I'm going to ask you a very specific question. Who you are, these controversial ideas, who you are you a product of your church, or are you who you are despite your church? How much has it contributed to who you are or not contributed?
I've not yet even become a member. I'm still a pathfinder. I'm still trying to find my path. I'm still an adventurer, trying to adventure into the space of thought. My favorite comment, the world is looking for a people, or God is looking for men and women who cannot be bought nor sold. People who are true to duty as a needle is to the pole. People who stand for the truth even if the heavens will fall. People who are not mere regurgitators of other people's thoughts and ideas, but people who are free. And when you were teaching me all these things as a young person, that this is what I must be, what do you expect I will become? Maybe let me ask you that question.
Sure.
When you were telling me all these things, and you were training me to recite them because this is what you want, what did you expect a person who grew up with that material? What do you think they would become?
Sure.
So I've not yet become an AY, an Adventist youth. You won't stomach it. I've not yet become a master guide. I'm still struggling to be a pathfinder, to say, can we find a path which leads to the Advent message to all the world in this generation? How do we unpack that, and how do we make that possible? I'm still struggling. Even people who swear at me as Adventists, they have not understood that basic, fundamental, primary school concept. The question is Advent message to all the world in this generation. Second question, how do you do that? Third question, who does that? Fourth question, why do you do that? Sixth question, where do you find the people when you do this? We cannot even answer those questions, which are for me are kindergarten pathfinder questions.
Sure. Now, another question: how does African spirituality and Christianity complement each other? That's another question from Bonganjalo Mbene.
More than complementing each other. Christianity is a young child who has become a bully to the old one, who is African spirituality, and Christianity kicks culture anytime, anywhere, where it pleases, even when Christianity does not understand what culture and African spirituality represents. Christianity just walks around with the knob carry, knocking pots, shooting marriages and weddings and ceremonies, and sprinkling the blood of Jesus on everything. The only thing left for modern European Christianity is just give us white names and remove our surnames and just make another bunch of European Africans who don't think and hate their culture because it's all demonic, and they will try as much as possible to wed white, to sing white, to talk white, to preach white, to express white, and they hope to die white. So that's, in terms of an illustration, that's how I'll put it. It's not a very good relationship between African spirituality and Christianity, as the strength of Christianity, because he has a hand in the political instruments. They're actually using that to bully African culture, which is too old and does not have instruments to protect herself. Until disasters come, such as corona, until disasters come, such as mental illnesses, non-production, and only on blissful moments like weddings and funerals does the modern African interact with his culture that he hates so much. Because Jesus has paid it all, and Jesus replaces everything to such an extent that if the African child had his choice today, they would change their name from Sivuyile Kotela to Sivuyile Jesus.
Okay, Joe. Okay, you got me there. Now tell me. Actually, somebody asked this question here. Yes, I did mention. Somebody says about Jesus not dying for the black man, for African. Were you misunderstood? Do you think people got what you were trying to say? What were you trying to say? What were you saying?
I would release another one now, which we will keep you conversing for the next couple of weeks. And the commentary says, by my stripes, you are healed. When I woke up this morning, that is the passage that I was given. By my stripes, you are healed. And that passage was saying, through my sacrifice, through my mud smearing, and through the wounds that I have been caused by the church, through my bleeding, many have been saved. And if you look at that illustration as I'm saying it right now, the discomfort it gives you at a theological level, but yet the practicality of the parable then makes sense. That every time you are harassing someone, you are crucifying them. You are making them bleed. And so if I say, you guys are crucifying me, why are you uncomfortable? When I am hanging right now on the Adventist cross with church members and elders, deacons and young people nailing me to the cross. The question is, while you are nailing me and I'm bleeding, my blood is flowing for who? It's a level of conception. It's a level of thought that is slightly above the common. The only difference that I'm using sacred text to explain human existence and social dynamics. It's a parable.
Sure. Josh, let's promise the viewers that you and I very soon we are going to have another conversation where we concentrate on the concepts. And the intention for today was to really get to know the person, Joshua Maponga. But we will have time and we just become uncomfortable and talk about those things that are not kosher, as it were. And tell me, Josh, Christianity and being a Christian and being African, in all practicality, are those compatible or are they mutually exclusive? How does an African Christian look like? Or is it a Christian African? Which one should come first? How does an African Christian look like? How should they look like?
I suggest you tell your viewers to go to a document that I wrote a few weeks ago, classifying Christianity from Hebrew-based Christianity to the Messianic Christianity, the Ethiopian Christianity, the Roman Christianity, the Anglican Christianity, the First Reformation, the Latter Reformation, Zwingli, Calvin, Martin Luther, which is the Eurocentric Christianity. Then the American Christianity, which is evangelical and Protestant and more Pentecostal. And then the African Christianity, which is a derogative of the Ethiopian Christianity under indigenous churches. And ultimately, when the European Christianity comes here, the mutation of African Baptist, African this, African that, that's another level. Then when the Americans come here with their gasolalia in tongues, the quality of that ministry and how it also duplicates itself to the modern ministers who are now feeding people with snakes and grass. So you always see these extensions. And the level at which I have told you right now, that totals a total number of 37,000 churches with one Bible and one devil. And to date, the 37,000 people have not agreed what one book says about the devil and says about Jesus. And we walk around each other asking each other, are you a Christian? Are you a Christian? When in fact, we don't even know where we are and what we do and what we are protesting about. What are we evangelical about? What are we Romanizing about? What is Episcopal about us? What is Orthodox about us? What is Hebrew about us? What is Jewish about us? Why do you say you are a Christian and you believe in the Bible, and yet you don't believe in how the Bible comes to you and the culture that encapsulates that same Bible? How do you interpret drink wine in your own village where you don't have wine? So the whole issue of making the gospel contemporary becomes a serious problem for hermeneutic and exegesis for the modern person. So that becoming a Christian has become a cliche. It's a cliche, literally. It means totally nothing. Because even if I can ask you as an Adventist, what Christian are you? I'm an Adventist. Are you a historicist, a futurist, or a dispensationalist, or what? No, I have elements of this and elements of that. What type of music do you listen to? What type of food do you eat? If we take what do you believe as an Adventist and walk around your village, just across, and ask another person who is Adventist what they also believe, they also give you another total different variety. Total, so that there's no one who can say, I am the Adventist. Being the Adventist has just remained as a cliche of being a fundamentalist, almost bordering on being a supansila or an extremist, where you are just at the door before you become a Davidian or a David Koresh. Stand there and just become an Adventist and focus to the eastern sky and wait for the second return of the Lord without necessarily finding out why and what and how can we become socially active to change our present environment. When Christianity fails to do that, then actually salt has lost its saltness. Throw it outside and let the people walk on it.
All right, and as we are getting to the end of this discussion, once again, let me drive it back to the person of Joshua Maponga. Or somebody has just said, you are like the voice in the wilderness, Bishop. And then somebody has also asked, where can we get that paper that you've just mentioned?
It's on my Facebook page there. I asked, which Christian are you? If you go on my, just say Joshua Maponga, which Christian are you, and post it on your page there, then they can actually read for themselves.
Sure. All right. Let's quickly talk about Josh, the artist. You play a number of instruments. You sing. The first time I got to know you many years ago, when I had just joined the Adventist Church, late 1990s, you were playing harmonica. And with time, you've evolved, you've added more instruments. And how many instruments do you play now? Number one. Number two, how do you, number one, decide on which one to start learning? And how does the process look like? Now, this question is for those.
I play about 15 instruments now. Various, some intermediate, some elementary, some primary, some professional. So it has taken some time. How I do that every year for my birthday, I think for the past 10, 15 years, my prayer was simple on my birthday. I say, please, Lord, teach me something new about myself. And then I would buy one instrument, then dedicate that year to that instrument. Next year, dedicate another year to another instrument. So slowly, that's how I accumulate. And the more you start playing, then you see they're related, some of them. So the concepts of, you break into a trumpet, you can also play a flugelhorn, you can play a cornet, you can play a French horn, because they're almost within the same. And you can almost move into a trombone, which is one step away. And then once you go for a saxophone, you can do your alto, your tenor, your soprano. It already gives you 4 instruments there. You do your harmonica, you can do your chromatic and your diatonic. That gives you another set there. Then the African indigenous instruments have been the most challenging, because those ones are mostly independent. The drumming section, the mbiras, the choras, the nyatitis. And when I got to Ukraine, I also got myself a bandura, which is, there are only about 100 of them left in the world. And one of them was actually donated to me by my Russian friend, Eduardo Prudnik. It's a national archive. It is registered in Ukraine. That is, it is in my house. If it is needed, they will come and fetch it. So yeah, that has been more. And the way you do it, it keeps me sane, because the nature of my mind, which engages very vigorously at various levels, I need to move away from each energy level to another level. Then I balance off my energy, sort of thing. So when I'm writing, I write. Then after writing, I paint. After painting, I do some music. After music, I might want to do some gardening and do some, crafts, make some hats, make something. Then I come back again and do my cycle. It allows me in a certain way, I don't know, but for me, every time I'm putting these beads together and etc., it clears my mind and gives me lots of connecting ideas as to how things are all connected. So it's a release energy space.
Okay, and somebody has just, how can we reach you? We need to invite you for a corporate event. Maybe this is the time where you also tell us more about Farmers of Thought, the Institute. What do you guys do, and how somebody has written, how can they get hold of you?
Farmers of Thought is an interrupter of thought. It's Farmers of Thought. It's a development of estate businesses and corporates, and placing ourselves as estates that will be inclusive to our estate of thinking, estate of reproduction, and the estate of the land. And for corporates, then we do what I call interruptive thinking. We do innovation. We do motivation also, strategy, planning. We do also team building exercises, African thinking tools, and very creative sort of solutions around the African psyche. That's what we do for a living. And for that man who wants to have us come through, we will be very excited to partner with you in assisting you to develop your human resource and human capital.
All right, just Josh, a very light 5 questions. Your favorite African destination?
Favorite destination? Man, I like mountains for some strange reasons. So Mpumalanga is good, Cape Town is good, Mount Kilimanjaro is good, Runzuri is good. And I also love African artifacts. So Ethiopian temples will be exciting. The temples of Sudan, the temples of Nigeria, mystical rivers and sacred places for me. Those are my favorite destinations. I cannot just point at one.
Sure.
It's quite a variety of them, yeah.
And favorite dish, food?
I like my pap with vegetables with peanut butter.
Oh, and favorite book or books? I mean, it's your birthday. I give you. I mean, you can choose 3 books or so besides the Bible.
Besides the Bible, there's a book that I, particularly because I'm talking to you as a Christian, I want to direct you to a book that was written by Ralph Messer called Law and Grace. It was written, he's a rabbi who is running a church in the US. Brilliant bridge between Messianic Christianity, African culture, and Eurocentric Christianity. And that book, Law and Grace, I'll try and get a picture for you and share it with you.
Sure,
but
please.
Google it up by Ralph Messer. Ralph Messer, I think for every Christian who wants to start the journey of finding themselves without losing the roots of Hebraic belief system and Christian belief systems, I would recommend that as actually a beautiful copy to start.
Sure. And this might be a very difficult one as a musician, as an artist, but your favorite song, all-time favorite song, or is it seasonal?
My favorite song, you go on your YouTube and you type Red Indian Music Healing Song. It's a song that was done by some weird people playing something. When I can't sleep, actually, that is the song that sends me to sleep. And it is actually, but most of my favorite songs are my own songs that I have done for myself. And they are all seasonal. As and when I want certain to be in certain spaces, then I listen to certain music.
Sure. Sure. And then last one, your favorite quote or mantra by which you live?
It's always written at the bottom of all my writings. I'm a watcher from the future, living in the present with solutions from the past. So it identifies who I am. I am a watcher, time, present, living with you, come from the future. It speaks of spaces, in the present, activities, solutions. Those are processes, the past, the archives. So you can actually unpack that small little mantra and find that it gives me geography, it gives me resources, it gives me time, and it also tells me my vision and my mission.
And then Josh, before I let you go, I know that you've got another commitment that is coming. There is an African young person that is watching you right now, and God has laid incredible talents in them, and they realize that they've been called to do so much, but there are trappings of their background, trappings of their culture, trappings of what they've been told they can and cannot do, and they can and cannot be. What do you have to say to them for them to, at the risk of being unpopular, at the risk of making everybody that knows them not be happy, to reach for that which God has laid in their hearts?
There are three types of people. Those that think in the box, and they're limited by the box. Those that think outside of the box, and they still use the box as a reference. But my group is group number 3. Those who bend the box and then think. And in terms of limitations, it's only a worldview as to where do you place yourself on those 3 stages. So start maybe in the box, understand the box, and then understand again which part of the box do you want to destroy, and you want to extend yourself in which level. Still use the frame you understand, but one day when you are confident enough, just take a matches and bend that box and live your life.
Bend the box and live your life and make Africa and the world better. Josh, thank you so much. Once again, my friend, happy birthday. I know this has been a very crazy day for you, but you made the time to be here. And to the viewers, I promise that very soon, maybe as early as September. It's Heritage Month anyway in September. Maybe that's the best time to be having the second part of this conversation. And can I have your commitment, Bishop?
No, we'll do it. We'll assist you.
We'll
Thank you
definitely
very much
it.
for having me on the village. All the best.
Thank you, my friend. All the best. Bye-bye to you. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I trust that you enjoyed that. Once again, we apologize for the glitches at the beginning, but I'm hoping that, I trust that you really did enjoy that. And as we've committed, we are planning to have another installation of this conversation with this incredible African, maybe sometime in September when it is Heritage Month. And have a good evening. All the best to you. And as early as tomorrow, we'll let you know who we're going to be having next week on this seat. May God bless you. Once again, as Mangalisa Sobuga would say, remember Africa. Change it, love it, and make it a better place. Bye-bye. God bless you.